Hi, and welcome to Best in Tesla News, episode 237. Tesla is still speeding ahead in the growing Chinese EV market. But the legacy automakers are truly struggling, and Mercedes' EV business in China has turned into a complete disaster. But the Chinese are just killing it in the EV race, and we got a new showcase of this week. But we do have some surprising development in the European EV race. And in the US we see that EVs are on the rise and ICE and hybrids were negative year on year. And GM is cutting more jobs this week in their software division. And SpaceX is about to make history once again in a few days. And Tesla Powerwall hits a new record. And Volkswagen is also setting new records, but unfortunately it is not the good kind of record. All of this and much more in today's episode. Let's dive right in.
Let's put our living stereo stylus in this groove.
While Tesla is full speed ahead in the growing Chinese EV market, legacy automakers are truly struggling, and Mercedes' EV business in China has turned into a complete disaster. It is amazing to see how well Tesla is doing in China. We heard all through 2023 and 2024 that Tesla was struggling in China and was doomed in China. And then we got the numbers and we can see that Tesla has the best selling EV model in the country in the first half of 2024. And the runner-up is BYD's Little Seagull. So not only is Tesla Model Y the best selling BEV in the country, but it is outselling the Seagull that cost about 1/3 of the Model Y. That is quite impressive. And then in third place we have the Tesla Model 3 beating the likes of BYD's Dolphin. Just imagine what will happen to Tesla sales in China when they're going to come out with two more affordable models next year, and then the $25,000 EV in 2026 or maybe 2027 that will probably be even cheaper in China. Tesla has so much space to grow in China that is rapidly shifting to EVs. But even though China is shifting to EVs, one of the old favorites is finding it hard to sell EVs in the country, as AJ could share in his analysis of Mercedes China business. As he wrote in his post, Mercedes China's EV business has turned into a complete disaster. Mercedes' inability to increase sales in a quickly growing market should worry Mercedes investors. This analysis also demonstrates that it is not an affordability problem. Chinese apparently find Mercedes EV unattractive relative to competition. As we can see here in this chart, you would expect Mercedes EVs to be a bit more expensive than a Tesla, but as you can see, the only EV on this list that is much more expensive than Tesla's Model Y is the EQE SUV. As you can see, the EQA is much cheaper in China than the Tesla Model Y or the Tesla Model 3, but they are still not really selling. Tesla sells in China in a single day almost as many EVs as Mercedes does in an entire quarter. Ouch! Tesla makes about 24 times Mercedes China EV revenue. This is not good, as Mercedes is only making about 10% EV and the rest is ICE cars. So they will drop fast in China, as they are already at 50% plug-in vehicles today. And we can see on this chart that in July 2022, non-Chinese automakers' share of the Chinese auto sales was 50%, and now they are down to 33% only 2 years later, and they have not seen the bottom yet. But it is not just in China Mercedes EVs are struggling. Mercedes delivered 45,800 EVs in Q2 2024, down 25% year over year. EVs now makes up 9.2% of their cars sold, down from 12% in Q2 of 2023. So Mercedes seems to be losing in the EV race, and even in China, with more affordable EVs available than Tesla, they still only sell a fraction of Tesla's volume. So their ICE sales is gonna fall off a cliff over the next couple of years in China as they shift to EVs, and the Chinese don't seem to want their EVs. So it sounds like Mercedes is about to lose about 50% of their profits that used to be made in China. And at the same time, they can look at Tesla, which has the best-selling EV model in the country. Not easy being up against Tesla, even with the many so-called Tesla killers they were supposed to make through the years. And we should be able to surf the internet without anyone stealing our data, but that is unfortunately not the case. It is very easy to get hacked, as simple as pushing a button really. That is why I always use a VPN security. So no hacker or internet provider can see or steal my data, and all my data is encrypted from emails, pictures and banking details. And that is why I have partnered up with today's sponsor, Private Internet Access, or PIA. That is a world-leading VPN provider, one of the biggest and most trusted VPN provider in the world, as their VPN is 100% open sourced and their code is public so that anyone can take a look under the hood and examine just how secure and private their service really is. Almost no other VPN provider is this transparent. I personally just used them for my travel in England and France this summer with my family, because that was at the same time of the European Football Championship, or soccer, that was running. But I was not able to see my Danish TV stations outside of Denmark, but then I just turned on the VPN and changed my location to Denmark and everything worked again. And I can also use it to see what movies are available in the US on Netflix, for example, that is not available in my region. So that gives me a lot more content. So that's also a nice feature. But PIA does much more than just change my IP address. Private Internet Access also encrypts your internet connection. This way, it shields your digital life, which is only getting more and more important, as today we have pretty much everything on our computers and smart devices. And PIA works on any device from computers to smartphones and works with all major streaming services, so you have unrestricted access to all your favorite content anywhere in the world and on unlimited devices. So what are you waiting for? Click my link in the description down below to get 83% off Private Internet Access. That's just $2.03 a month, and you will also get 4 extra months completely for free, making this an absolutely no-brainer. So don't wait signing up for Private Internet Access, as it is also completely risk-free with their 30-day money-back guaranteed, and 24/7 customer service is available if you should ever need it. So click my link down below to get the online privacy we all deserve, and a big thanks to Private Internet Access for sponsoring this video. But the Chinese are just killing it when it comes to EVs. But we have got another example of how they are setting a whole new standard. As AJ wrote on X, Xiaomi, the world's third largest phone maker and latest joiner to the EV space, reported 2Q earnings. This thread looks at how Xiaomi is doing financially. Revenue jumped up 32%, which was driven by Xiaomi's SU7 sales, which came in at 27,307 units for the quarter. This is a remarkable entry to the EV space. Yes, I really must say, this is an incredible ramp. Remember, the self-proclaimed leaders in the EV race, GM, only sold 22,000 EVs combined with all the many models in Q2. And Xiaomi just came in and outperformed the big old mighty GM with their first EV model ever, in their first full quarter ever. This gives us a great insight to how screwed the old guys are. This is really a testimony to Chinese supply chain that is the true strength of the Chinese automotive. And this is also a big slap in the face of Apple, another smartphone company that spent $10 billion and 10 years on trying to come up with an EV, but cancelled the whole thing. And then Xiaomi comes along, tried to make a copy of the Porsche Taycan to be fair, and outperforms everyone in the history that has tried to put its first EV into the world. very impressive and not a good look for Apple. As AJ also wrote, Xiaomi SU7 had a strong start. However, latest July sales suggest that the sales slowed in July month over month. It's possible this is a temporary breather before sales continues to grow, but there is a risk that the SU7 already found the ceiling. This Porsche copy might also explain why Porsche's EV sales have dropped 50% year over year in the first half of 2024. Not because of the SU7 alone, of course, but when you can get this car from $30,000 in China and the Porsche Taycan starts at $130,000, well, I think it's hard for a Chinese person to justify paying 4 times the amount to get something that looks so similar. And Xiaomi is coming out with a performance version called SU7 Ultra in the first half of next year. And Xiaomi claims that the Ultra can do a 0 to 60 or 0 to 100 kilometers in under 2 seconds and hit 200 miles per hour in less than 6 seconds. And it topped out at more than 350 kilometers per hour in a test at the Nürburgring track in Germany. So it seems to be a beast, and will probably start somewhere between $40,000 to $50,000 in China. Would you still buy the Porsche then? I'm not sure I would, because now suddenly the Porsche Taycan Turbo S can't keep up with the SU7 Ultra. But the Turbo S cost about $280,000 in China, and the SU7 Ultra will probably cost 4 to 5 times less than the Porsche. Yes, there is a reason why the old German brands that used to dominate in the Chinese market in the Ice Age, but it's losing the EV race. But it's not only in China we are seeing that people are not so brand loyal when they are looking at an EV. They just want most bang for their buck and a software-defined vehicle. And when China can now make a car like this, the SU7, for about 1/5 of the price, that can keep up with the Porsche in performance, well, I don't think the brand name can handle that big of a difference on the price tag. China is just killing it with EVs and at the same time killing the legacy automakers. And we have some surprising development happening in Europe, where BMW has beaten Tesla in Europe. Only in 1 month, but still not bad. But we had a little surprise in July as BMW outsold Tesla on electric vehicles in the European Union for the first time. But as you can see, Tesla's year-to-date, well, they still sell a lot more EVs. But this is the first time BMW have been able to keep up with Tesla, even though it might just be for 1 month. But let's see if BMW can continue to grow their EV sales so they can keep up with Tesla for the rest of the year. I highly doubt it though, but take a look at EU-EV.com. That doesn't have all the updated numbers from all countries just yet, but here we can see the BMW is actually the 3rd best-selling EV brand in Europe, so that's very good. And we can see that they are only about 8,000 units behind the Volkswagen brand. But BMW also has like 15 different models on the menu at the moment, whereas someone like Tesla only have 4. But BMW is still only year-to-date able to sell about 50% of Tesla's units. So BMW is doing well here in Europe, and I think they have made a good move by making a touring version of the i5. I already have a neighbor that's got one, because touring or the station wagon are just very popular here in Europe, but we don't really have them as fully electric station wagons just yet, but now we do with BMW, so they could have a really good success here on their hands. Many are buying these station wagons because of the trunk space, but many are not realizing just how big the trunk space is in the Model Y that is not a station car but a SUV. The BMW i5 Touring has 570 liters of trunk space, but the Model Y has 700 liters of trunk space, and Tesla of course has 125 liters more in the front, and BMW doesn't have enough front at all. So the Model Y does have quite a bit more cargo space than the touring version of the i5, but the Model Y is also just a very spacious car altogether. But I truly think that the BMW i5 Touring could do very, very well here in Europe if BMW can get the production volume up, of course. But we can see that Volvo is coming in at number 4 just after BMW, and then we can see that MG is still doing great here in Europe, another Chinese player, and BYD has actually surpassed last year's total sales numbers already here in Europe. So even though they are still a bit down the list of the best-selling EV brands in Europe, they are climbing. growing. Last year they only sold 15,000 units and had 0.8% market share. And now they have already sold more than 17,000 units and have 1.8% market share. So they are definitely growing and taking market share, but still have quite a bit of way to go to get to the top 10 EV makers in Europe, as that would mean selling twice as many EVs as they does today. But we will see how it all goes for the rest of the year. But Tesla is still, of course, sitting at the #1 spot with more than 15% of the EV market share in Europe. And Volkswagen is setting a new record. Unfortunately, not the good kind of record. Volkswagen's ID. Buzz is coming soon to the US, so that is nice. But the record Volkswagen has with the ID. Buzz is not that nice. Because let's see how it will do in the US, as it has been a disaster in Germany, as AJ wrote on X. Less than 2 years after launch, sales dropped to just 177 vehicles over a 3-month sales period. That is a record low. Man, that is a disaster. But why is no one really want to buy this electric van? I think the range of the van is absolutely killing it. An EPA range of the rear-wheel drive of only 234 miles and 231 miles for the all-wheel version with a 91 kilowatt-hour battery pack. That is not very good. You don't want to be driving around in this one in the winter anyway. It will probably not go longer than 150 miles then. And it is quite pricey to fill up this big battery as well, and it has a starting price of about $60,000. But another thing is that Tesla has had their camp mode for about 8 years now, or something like that, and with this little camper Volkswagen is coming out with in the US in 2024, doesn't have camp mode. That is simply just a big failure from Volkswagen in my opinion. So many people are familiar with camp mode in the Tesla, and they come to check out the ID. Buzz, the little camper, and it doesn't even have that feature. Not a good look. And it looks okay. It's just that they teased us with their concept of it that looks a bit more like the old classic. And then they bring this one. I think people might also be a little bit disappointed with the looks compared to the concept model of the van, because I would have loved for it to have more the original look, especially in the front. That was so classic, and now it's just, boring. But let's see if it will become a success in the US. I think they need to put in a little more range into the van, and of course have a camp mode, and lower the starting price with about $10,000. Then they will probably have a solid success on their hand. Just like I said 4 years ago when I reviewed the ID.3 here in Europe, it was a nice little EV, but just too expensive for what you got. And I think the ID. Buzz hit that review as well. Nice electric van, and we need this kind of vehicle, but this one is just a bit too expensive for what you get. And let's squeeze in the last short news topics into this new show. Yes, it's time for the Tesla shorts. Electric vehicle sales has been on the rise in the US and elsewhere over the past few years, and recent registration data from S&P Global Mobility shows that EV growth outpaced the rest of the automotive market in June. New EV registration jumped 3.1% year-over-year in June, with 108,000 vehicles registered, while the market as a whole saw a 8.8% decrease to a little over 1.2 million units. So nice to see EVs are on the rise, and ICE and hybrids were negative year-over-year. And of course, Tesla is the dominating force, with almost 61,000 units sold in June, and 10 times smaller we find Ford in second place. And Roland also made this chart that really puts it into perspective. Not even combined, the competition can keep up. And Søren Basher added a minor detail, but one of the most important details: Tesla is profitable. No one else on the right side here is. What competition? And the Cybertruck appears to have got the first license plate in China. We can see here in this little video by user GearMusk on X. The Cybertruck is driving in China with a green number plate that is for the EVs, but we don't know much more than that, so let the speculation begin on whether the Cybertruck is coming to China in the next year or so. And we are seeing the mainstream media is losing ground to the likes of X. But when you see what they report, it is not a surprise, as they are really not trustworthy anymore, as Alex wrote about the so-called recall Tesla did recently. Tesla is making a global over-the-air software update for 183,000 Model 3, Model S, Model Y and Model X's without its owner even noticing it, and not a single car needs to be recalled into the service center, and the mainstream media is making headlines after headlines. Meanwhile, BMW recalls 1.3 million vehicles to a service center to fix a safety-related problem with the airbags, and no one is reporting it. The media is and remains a misreporting and misleading, dishonest group of people without any business ethic or backbone. Yeah, no wonder more and more people are just jumping on X to get the real news. And last week I reported that GM was going to do some job cuts in China because of the plummeting demand for their cars over the last 6 years. But this week GM is also cutting jobs globally in their software and service division. GM is cutting all excess fat they can find to try to make up for their drop in demand. And Tesla is hiring data collecting operators to train its Optimus robot. The job involves wearing the motion capture suit and VR headset to simulate robots' movement. And the salary is $48. Seems like a nice student job. And don't forget that next week we will have SpaceX making more history, as Elon Musk shared on X. The first SpaceX spacewalk mission launch is next week. This will be epic. And don't forget, this is not just SpaceX's first spacewalk. This will be the first ever private spacewalk in history. And the Polaris Dawn mission is set to launch on the 27th of August. The Polaris Dawn crew of 4 will also be the first crew to test Starlink in space. They will be riding the SpaceX Dragon capsule with the next generation SpaceX-designed EVA spacesuit. It uses new materials and joint designs to provide greater flexibility. The helmet has a new visor to reduce glare and a heads-up display. So cool, can't wait. And we have a guy that bought 5 Cybertrucks and put them on the rental platform Toro in January this year. Fans was curious, and the host cast in on the opportunity, charging $1,000 to spend a day in one of the flashiest cars to hit the road in a generation. In 4 months, the combined rental income from the 5 Cybertruck has helped him recover the price of an entire truck. As the owner said, the 5 Cybertruck, believe it or not, since April have made me $120,000 already. The demand for this thing is unreal. And we finally got a little justice. In a clear win for Elon, a federal judge in Texas has rejected Media Matters' request to force X to list Tesla as a financially interested party in its lawsuit against the liberal watchdog group. U.S. District Judge Reed O'Connor rightly called out the motion as a last-minute attempt to manipulate the legal process rather than a genuine concern for transparency. As a result, Media Matter now has to pay X's legal fees. Despite Elon companies operating separately, Media Matter tried to blur the lines, but the judge correctly pointed out that there is no legal basis to connect Tesla to X in this case. This decision is a strong defense of Elon's integrity and the independence of his various enterprises. And in a post from Tesla Energy X account on Tuesday, the company announced that Giga Nevada produced over 500 Powerwall units in a single shift, making a new production record for the home energy storage device. The news comes as Tesla's energy division continues to set deployment record, and months after the company debuted its next generation version of the Powerwall. It also comes after Tesla surpassed 600,000 Powerwalls installations worldwide in February, following the Powerwall 3 launch in the US in February as well, and Tesla also began rolling out the next generation home battery out to additional countries over the last few months, including Canada, United Kingdom and Germany. So getting closer to my home country. And last month, Tesla highlighted one customer's experience with the latest generation of the Powerwall 3, in which the customers saved 94% of their electricity bill within a month of installing multiple units. I did make a whole video about the Powerwall revolution this week, so if you want to learn more, check that one out, a link down below. And Tesla is looking to hire test engineer, abuse engineering, For the semi-truck program, you would frequently coordinate and execute destructive tests and be responsible for continuously ongoing hazarded lifetime tests. Nice, and we got to see a video of the second Neuralink patient Alex playing the first-person shooter game Counter-Strike 2 on his laptop computer using the link. So what you're seeing here is only played by controlling a computer with his mind. Nuts. And do you remember this guy?
There is nothing that Tesla has that Toyota doesn't as far as technology.
Well, it seems like Tesla actually does have technologies that Toyota doesn't have, as we could see this week Toyota's first Gigacast that is hung on the wall in their R&D facility and is signed by everyone involved in the project. So that is Toyota's first Gigacasting, where Toyota is trying to copy all of Tesla's technologies, but so far it is only in the R&D center, so they don't have it in production yet and is not expected to before 2026 for the next-gen Lexus EV. So, dear Greg Irvins, it seems like Toyota don't have a Gigacasting outside of their R&D, but Tesla on the other hand has about 21 gigapresses. So I'm guessing that they do have something Toyota doesn't have, but are desperately trying to copy all of Tesla's many production technologies that Tesla has that Toyota doesn't. Because another thing Tesla has that Toyota doesn't is a profit on EVs.
There is nothing that Tesla has that Toyota doesn't as far as technology.
And Tesla China's Vice President of External Affairs, Grace Tao, provided an update on the company's upcoming Megapack factory in Shanghai. According to Tao, Tesla's Megafactory construction in Shanghai is about 45% complete, with the potential to finish in 6 to 9 months from now. So that would be way faster than the Megapack factory in Lathrop. But again, this factory sits on 200,000 square meters of land, whereas the Lathrop factory sits on 40,000 square meters of land. So there is some potential for expansion here, and the rumors of course has it that the factory might be able to produce double or even triple the amount of Megapacks in the future at some point than Lathrop. But we should see this factory up and running maybe in Q1 of next year or definitely Q2. And Hallmark's catalog shared this post: can Tesla full self-driving 12.5.1.3 be an Uber or Lyft driver? I did 1 hour of real ride-sharing rides using full self-driving to find out. Other than one takeover to turn around in a McDonald's parking lot, it handled it all itself, getting really close to the full self-driving future. And for the people that says full self-driving can't see in heavy rain, well, here is a video showing just how wrong that statement is. It sees way better and much more than we do. And if you have not seen it yet, I have released my third video on my new channel, Best in Tech, where we go to have some fun in the snow in Finland, where we get to have some fun in hovercraft and also check out this new invention called the 18 wheels. Definitely check it out, link down below. And transportation and logistic company NFI says they piloted Tesla semi-truck in recent week and wrote, "Our team delivered goods on routes between 250 to 450 miles, supported by fast charging infrastructure. Over 6,000 miles in the semi-truck demonstrate an efficiency of 1.64 kilowatt-hour per mile, with 60% of those miles covered at speed of 50 miles per hour or greater. Enable us to evaluate more sustainable solution for our customers." So it's actually doing better with efficiency than Tesla promised, with 2 kilowatt hours per mile. Nice. Where the hell is Bill Gates? And before we end up with a bit of fun, I just want to make a quick shout out to my newest supporters of this channel. My new YouTube member, Rolf Degree, and my new Patreon producer, David Kieslowski. Thank you so much for all your support. I am doing this all by myself, but you guys are all the producers of this new show. Thank you. And let's end off with a bit of fun. If you think that for me making a new show that is not in my native tongue is easy, well, just take a look at this video of how freaking difficult your English language can be.
So this word is ought, which means this word is thought, which means this word is thaw. No, it's though. You don't see how. Oh, that's why.
Okay.
Which means this word is.
It'd be toe.
No, tough. You don't see how. Off. Oh. See the difference?
Okay.
Which means this word would be.
Cuff.
No, it's cough. You don't see how. Off. That's why.
Okay.
So obviously this word would be.
So it'd be cough with a D. Doff.
No, it's dough. Remember what I said earlier? Oh, dough.
Yup.
So now that you know that, this word would be.
Drought.
No,
I mean, draught.
no,
Drut.
no, it's drought. You don't see how. Ow, drought. Remember, just because they're spelt the same doesn't mean they sound the same.
That is all we have time for in this news show. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to hit that like button. It really does help this video out a lot so others can find it on YouTube. And if you did like it, maybe you want to consider hitting that subscribe button, notification bell, so you don't miss out on future videos just like this one. And if you're already a subscriber to the channel, thank you so much for the support. But if you want to support the channel even more, remember you can, for as little as $1, become a patron of this channel, or become a member of the YouTube channel to get a shout out as some extra perks like early access, ad-free versions of my videos, exclusive videos. So hit the members button or check out Patreon to find out more. And don't forget to follow me on X. I post pretty much all the news as it comes out and a lot more. And check out the merch store to get some merchandise and support the show. It is also possible to support the show without becoming a member or a patron. There is a donation option down below or on my website bestintesla.com. You can also become an executive producer and get news articles, exclusive videos, behind the scenes, and access to all my research, charts and spreadsheet, also on bestintesla.com, or as simple as hitting the super like button. And don't forget to check out Peer to get the online security you deserve. Link down below. And thank you for watching. And until next time, take care out there and be nice.